Now, I had no intention to make this video, but new information, so it's like forcing my hands. I'm like, okay, all right. This is going to come off a little rambling, which I get a lot of criticism for, but just going to have to be, as I say, Bill O'Reilly, we're going live. And this is not super connected to what we're going to talk about, but I might as well just put it out there. Because this is literally what happened. So I was just walking, and I'm not joking. I almost collapsed, which was very frightening because, as you can see, I'm probably showing the video now. I have a leg brace, and as you can see, the brace with something else to protect it. But I was like, okay, that was pretty scary. I've been trying to handle a leg injury from last year. I don't know. So, not calling or asking for any money at this point, but that unfortunately is connected to the subject. So let us get right to it, which is the Ellie Mexican long hair crisis, which happened roughly last year from March to June 2024. Now, I've spoken out a little bit about this in other videos, focusing on Marilyn, and I will be nice. I was told, yes, Marilyn was involved. She's not innocent. She was involved. However, we're going to go through some of the main ringleaders and some of the other people, because Saul Goodman has become a very vociferous critic of DOA, and I'm going to shock people, but I'm being forced because the video was fine, but I would recommend a video that DOA put out recently on the Kyle Brennan case, which is very tragic, which we're not going to get into here because it's a very dark, tragic story, and good or bad, DOA is putting some attention on the case. So I'd have to be forced to give that video some traction. And that's the theme of this video, that two things can be true. So is DOA a very questionable activist? Yes. Is he a grifter? Yes. Is he a bully? Yes. And we're going to get into it now. So apparently the idea was, and again, I'm not sure the origins. Ellie, I think, was a little fuzzy there, but she has provided some receipts. I would like more, but that is me. It's her story and her tragedy. So what happened was Ellie was modding for a lot of these channels. I mean, going through all of them would take a long time. So she was deeply connected. And the way she tells it, basically she was set up by DOA, Pearl Snappy, Selfless Self, Liz Ferris. I don't know, this is overwhelming if you're just coming into this stuff. Yeah, it's a lot of names. I'm going to try to put up a lot of pictures and titles to guide people, but it is a lot of people. I'm not going to go through all the names that even Ellie named because it's a lot. So it was those people as well as Marilyn and a few others. And the basic idea was to coordinate an attack on Ellie to basically frame her. And the question might be why. Well, even the motives here are a little bit murky, but the way I'm understanding it is that, which again goes against the farewell video that Selfless Self put out. Selfless Self on his channel basically did a farewell video saying he's going to move away from SPTV, from anti-Scientology activism, because he feels it's become a very dark, very toxic space, which is obviously a bit of a ironic thing because he's one of the people who helped make it a very dark, disgusting place. Now, I will say, like all these people, they have a good side. They have done some good things, right? So Selfless did call out a lot of Aaron Smith-Levin, was very critical of him much earlier than other people, which can be appreciated. Unfortunately, this is the dilemma that oftentimes when people are critical of X or Y, if you don't like it, or there are good reasons to call it out, doesn't make the other side a bunch of superheroes. So, for instance, Aaron calls out a lot of garbage the Church of Scientology does. Okay, that's good. Doesn't mean that his echo chamber and SPTV is good or better. And then, of course, DOA will call out suspicious things that Aaron does, which is good. That doesn't mean that DOA's group is full of superheroes. It's just bad logic. So there is a good point to have for all these creators, but they are creating these very vicious echo chambers. So what can we do about this? Well, I guess one is more clarity, because Selfless, and this is why Ellie was speaking up, is trying to invoke her tragedy as a case of like, oh, this is why I'm getting out. Yeah, the Ellie thing, the DOA thing. It's like, yeah, but weren't you involved in that? And what was the nature of the involvement? The way I understand it, again, you can go to the Mexican long hair larger stream. I'm just trying to summarize and interpret as best as possible. I often get things wrong, so maybe I'm going to get a few things wrong here. So the way I understand it is they were trying to set it up so it looked like Ellie was going to or tried to block Liz Ferris, who's one of these SPTV creators who a lot of people feel sympathy for good reason, right? She's gay, she's sick, she has a lot of health problems, and Aaron has been bullying her. She was even bullied publicly by Aaron, so a lot of people just feel a lot of sympathy for Liz, and she's hung out with Laura FM, so a lot of people just like her, so she's very popular. The problem is that Ellie has kept a lot of the receipts and screenshots and can show, no, nothing like that happened, not trying to have any issue with Liz Ferris, but they were trying to frame her. But what's Selfless's role? I guess the way I understand it is that Selfless, despite his own farewell video saying he's not here for the money, he's not trying to promote himself, he doesn't like that culture. That was their issue. Apparently, Ellie was being too generous or nice to the smaller creators, trying to give them traction, which they did not want. So apparently, DOA, Selfless, and Pearl Snappy and the others wanted to create their own little pyramid scheme, but they wanted to enforce a lot of gatekeeping, and apparently Ellie was not willing to do that. And after months of basically being bullied and harangued, she finally spoke out to Mexican Longhair because he was not aware of this. He was like, wait, what's going on here? And then when he did, he tried to expose a lot of what DOA, Marilyn, Pearl Snappy, and Selfless are doing. Again, I'm not as harsh towards Selfless as they are, but I do understand the rage that he is, quote, denouncing this celebrity toxic atmosphere, SPTV, Aaron Smith-Levin, growing up in Scientology. But then secretly, he was part of these operations to gang up and bully and create this very toxic echo chamber with DOA. So it seems like, well, you're not really who you say you are. You're portraying this much more calm, nice activist. But really, that's not your record with Pearl Snappy, constantly haranguing and bullying people. And Ellie's not the only case. And I've gotten some of this treatment myself. So we're not isolated examples. There's more people. There's Jay, Daniel from Salem. We just go through the list. It's a lot of people who get targeted by the echo chamber and become scapegoats. And you ask, well, why? What's going on? And the answer is they just need scapegoats, right? Cults need victims. And so it is what it is. They just got to find a victim, create this phony panic scenario, and go after them. And even if there's nothing there and they're totally innocent, well, it doesn't matter. They just need something to get a sense of unity and create a scapegoat for their mythology. And that is the way it goes. But again, I want to be clear, we should be critical of all sides. So there will be probably things I'll be critical with Ellie about and Mexican Longhair. And I definitely am critical of some of what they're looking over. I guess that's a nicer way to say, but I often get accused of, oh, you're just starting. So I'm just trying to limit it to the most critical names as a part of this crisis from last year. So I would have to apologize to Marilyn that I may have given her too much blame, and DOA deserves more blame. But again, we live in a world where two things can be true. So that video on Kyle was not the greatest, but it did put out some critical information. So I would say recommend DOA's channel for that. I would also recommend being very careful and critical of information he puts out. Like the thing with Kyle, for the most part, seems totally true, factual, but just be careful with what he's putting out. And again, to wrap it up full circle, again, I'm not at all begging anyone for, at this point, donations or money, but I'm not going to lie, I'm in a really bad state. I do have one job. I just went on a job interview. Hopefully I will get something, but I don't know. And I am not joking. I did nearly collapse, and I'm like, I can't afford to go to the hospital. I really can't. So I'm in a very tight box, but I am trying to do the best. Not trying to get back in the hospital, but life is rough. But I may have to. I just don't really have a choice to do a GoFundMe for the leg injury and other things. It is where we are. So I think the dilemma here is just be upfront about what exactly are we doing here. As for me, it's pretty clear. I don't think I've really hit in it. I have anti-war activism, go back to the Iraq conflict, still anti-war activist. And for me, it's been mainly this kind of anti-fascist activism. But other people are here for different reasons. And that's fine. You have your own reasons, but that's been my more or less lodestar to keep me guided. But other people are here for many other reasons, including outright just becoming famous and making money. It's like, okay, fine. But just be upfront about what are the reasons for why you're commenting on Scientology, or what is anti-Scientology to you. With DOA, I frankly don't know. It does seem like he's just trying to create his echo chamber and, control it. Well, Selfless, I can actually believe he does care about the victims of Scientology, but it does seem he had his own hidden agenda, and his way of saying farewell is not entirely true. There's a lot of gaslighting going on, which is ironic because he's actually very good at examining gaslighting. But that's the world we live in, world of a lot of dark irony, I guess. All right, thank you for listening. See you soon.